So joining me right now, as we always do, we talk to Roger Gewolb, and it's so interesting, the kind of conversations that he has. And he has this, I'm going to call it a podcast, Roger, where it's called The Gospel According to Dr. Roger. And I love it. If you guys don't get it or don't subscribe to it, you should do that. Roger, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Martha?
I'm doing great. So this week we had another very interesting week in the United States where President Trump welcomed the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And that's important because of all the money they're investing in the United States, all the help that we're giving them, and this precipice we're on to actually have a framework of a more peaceful future in the Middle East. You know, the UN approved the deal that Trump, the 20-point deal that Trump put out as the way to bring peace back to Gaza, and they had a unanimous vote on that, which is unheard of when the UN and you're talking about Israel. Usually they always vote against Israel, but this was a plan to move things forward. And then you have the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia talking like there's a good future ahead where people are going to like prosperity more than fighting with each other.
Absolutely. That's well said. That's what it's all about. And that is President Trump in action. He's all about business and good relations, making money, which is what interests people. The rest is all detail. And Mohammed bin Salman is a guy who's, a young guy who's going to respond to that.
And I think he's trying. I mean, I think that the president really turned the corner in June when he went to that meeting, and he basically said, we're not going to try to change you. There's no nation building going on here, but we want to be prosperous with you. And if we're going to do that, then you have to be better neighbors, basically is what he said. And I think bin Salman was on that track before October 7th. I mean, in fact, 8 days. We talked to Brett Baer on the program yesterday, and Brett and I talked about that interview they had 8 days before October 7th, where he said that they were very close to recognizing Israel. And then, of course, the war in Gaza derailed that for a couple of years, but it looks like they're almost there again.
Well, I just heard from so many different people, Martha, at the time, that it was a matter of 2 to 3 weeks before Mohammed bin Salman and others came over and signed the Abraham Accords, and the deal was done. And that the October the 7th atrocities were in large part meant to keep that from happening, were meant to throw a spanner, throw a wrench into the works and stop it. And that's exactly what they did. So it's not surprising that that's all coming back and is going to happen again, because I think, just so many people, even from just an economic viewpoint, want it to happen. You don't get anywhere fighting and killing each other. You do get somewhere by doing business together.
That's right, because then you're less likely to want to tear the place up if you're doing business with them. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
just common sense. Now, recently you had a discussion with Greta Van Susteren about socialism, and what I loved about that, first of all, long before I was doing radio, when I was just a stay-at-home mom, Greta Van Susteren was getting her first. I shouldn't say just a stay-at-home mom. It was the hardest job I ever had. But when I was a stay-at-home mom, Greta was doing this show on CNN where she was doing OJ updates every day. And I just thought she was the smartest thing ever. And I wrote her a letter, okay, because this was like 1996. I wrote her a letter, and I got a reply back. And over the years, when we've crossed paths, we've laughed about that because of her kindness and her good manners, quite frankly, I was able to start thinking about how to get back into my journalism career, because I had left my career to raise my family for a period of time. And so I kind of look at her as the person that that kind of got me on that path. And so it was great to see that she's doing great work everywhere, and that the discussion with you about socialism was very interesting.
she is an extraordinary individual. She is just so down to earth and easy to talk to. There's no airs and graces about her, and she is as smart as a whip and just, one of the best geopolitical experts around that I know. And, if you want somebody to describe this socialist, woke poison that is seeping through the world, you couldn't get anybody better than Greta to explain what it's all about, why it's bad, how it happened, and why it needs to be put down and go away. Starting with the other famous Greta, who's going in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
But yeah, she is terrific, and I'm sure she's been an inspiration to someone like you.
and she also, not she, but Zoran Mamdani is going to be meeting with President Trump. I think I would love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting.
I think that the president is going to set him right, and I do keep. It's funny. I just keep having flashbacks of that interview and remembering Greta in her wisdom saying, well, hold on. There's the mayor of New York, but I keep asking myself, how much power, how much authority do they really have compared to the city council? What's this guy really going to be able to do when there's a city council, that hasn't been taken over by Muslim fundamentalists yet? And so I'm not sure that he's quite the danger that people are making him out to be, is what I think she was implying.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, and it's going to be interesting to follow. So I'm really excited about the Gospel According to Dr. Roger. I think that is a great podcast. So what's your plan on that?
I would love to build it and develop it more. It's just, it's on about 8 or 9 different platforms, but mainly on YouTube, which is great. And it just, we get a lot of views, but people are very slow to subscribe. And I wish I could find some way to build it bigger and bigger, because it's very popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. I've just been at an economics conference this morning with Liz Truss, the former British Prime Minister, and a number of very leading economists, some of whom are friends of mine, and they are discussing the disastrous British budget that we're expecting from the Labour Party next week. They made a great presentation. It's called the Growth Commission, this group that she is part of. I'm going to interview a number of very famous people from that. And I would love to build the gospel more. So any suggestions, welcome. But to see it, just go to Dr. Dr. Roger Gewolb on YouTube, and you'll see that playlist, The Gospel According to Dr. Roger.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It's always great to talk to you.